Hello everyone, my name is Katie, I am the Introverted Reader, and today's video is my January wrap-up. I can't believe that January is over already. It only took 84 years, but we're at the end of January, we made it. So if you guys don't know, I took part in the Friends Readathon over the month of January, which was a lot of fun. I had some good times, and I picked out 6 challenges, but I was only able to complete a few of them. I wasn't able to complete them all. I wasn't able to get to these 2 books, Loveless by Alice Oseman, which was a prompt for Ross. It was You're My Lobster, and I think it was like read a book you think you're gonna love. I wasn't able to get to that one. And From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, this book here, I wasn't able to get to that either. This was another prompt for Chandler, and it was, what is it? Hold on. I'm hopeless and awkward and desperate for love. So I wasn't able to get to these 2. I don't know whether or not I'll get to them in February or not. Maybe one of them. But I already have a TBR for February picked out, so I'll leave that link down below if you want to see. But those are the only ones I wasn't able to get to. And okay, so into the books that I did actually manage to read and complete. Prior of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I started this in December. If you remember, it was a book that my sister picked out for me to read in December. Thanks. This was a journey. It was still really, really good. I gave it 4 stars. The first half of it is quite slow. It's because you're introduced to a whole bunch of characters and it's very highly political, so it's a little hard to get through, but without giving too much away, it's basically a world divided, a queendom without an heir, and an ancient enemy awakens. So yeah, it's set between these 2 neighboring nations, where one, the queendom, the queen is trying to keep her kingdom together because she is still unmarried. She has not conceived an heir yet, and they all need her to get going and do that. And then there's this other neighboring nation with the dragons and stuff, and they worship the dragons almost like gods. It is really, really interesting. It's a really, really good read. I highly recommend maybe the audiobook, because the writing is quite small, and obviously it's 800 plus pages, but all in all, I did enjoy it, and I'm so happy with myself that I was able to get this huge tome off of my physical TBR. Like, you've no idea. Right. Now the books that I actually completed for the Friends Readathon. The first one that I managed to complete was this one, Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nyan. This was a prompt for Rachel. It's so beautiful. He's so pretty, I want to cry. And it was basically read a beautiful book with a beautiful cover, and this does have a beautiful cover. So yeah, this is the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire. It's a Asian-inspired fantasy story where these 8 random girls are chosen from different provinces to be concubines to the king. And our main character, Lee, wasn't meant to be chosen, but like she has these mysterious golden eyes, and everybody believes that like she must be like blessed by the gods somehow, so she's brought in as like the 9th girl, which never happens. And yeah, it kind of really goes from there. That's all really I knew about the series, but like I gave the first one 5 stars and I give this one 5 stars. This series thus far is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. And I will say, the author has put a little note in here. Please be aware that this book contains scenes of violence and self-harm and references to sexual abuse and trauma recovery. So be wary of those whenever you pick up this book. So yeah, all in all, 5 out of 5. I loved it. Okay, so the next one that I managed to read was a prompt for Monica. And it was, her quote was, "I really think I might kill someone tonight." And it was like, read a mystery or like a thriller novel or something. So for that, I chose A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Oh, this was amazing. This was so good. Okay, so it's set in this small little town in England. And there was a schoolgirl murdered 5 years prior to when the story begins, right? And everybody in the town believes that they know who did it. They believe that her boyfriend is the one who killed her. But all the evidence well, evidence that they have against this young man is literally just all circumstantial. Like his blood just happened to be here, or this just happened to happen, and he was like away at this time, so he clearly had enough time, blah 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 blah. But like, our main character Pippa does not believe for a second that it's true. She believes that the young boy is innocent, but sadly he is not alive either himself, to defend himself or, like, you know, speak up for himself. And that's not a spoiler, because it's literally told in like the first couple pages of the book that he is also dead. So she kind of takes it upon herself for like her final year project to open up the case again and find out what really happened to this girl. And like, half the stuff that happened in here I genuinely did not see coming, and if you haven't picked this up yet, I highly recommend you do, because it was wonderful. 5 out of 5. Amazing. Okay, so the next one that I read, and actually the very last book that I read in January, was a prompt for Phoebe, and her quote was, "I wish I could, but I don't want to," and it was a book that you keep putting off, and that for me was A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. Now, it wasn't that I didn't want to read this, it's just I kept putting it in the back of my mind, like, oh, I should probably really read this, or I should, but then I kept forgetting. But then I finally just got over myself and picked it up for January, and I will say I really, really enjoyed myself. So it's an African folktale or African mythology inspired fantasy story told between two different perspectives. One is a boy called Malik, and he and his two sisters are basically refugees. They're trying to get away from their war-torn town into like the big city and just find new lives for themselves and like get their family back together again. And the other perspective is the princess of this nation, and she's kind of living very frivolously, like, you know, she drinks a lot, and, you know, she doesn't really take her duties as princess seriously, and she kind of got on my nerves for the majority of this book. But all in all, I did really, really enjoy it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really, really excited for the sequel, because the ending of this fully left me shook. Like, I really, really loved it. And if you haven't read this, highly recommend you do. So excited for the sequel. Okay. The next one that I read was a prompt for Chandler, and his quote was, "Could I be any more excited?" I picked 2 quotes for Chandler, but this one for him I actually read, and it was, "Read a anticipated release," and that for me was A Sky Beyond the Storm by Saba Tahir. This is the 4th and final book in the Ember and the Ashes series, and I will admit, at first I wasn't completely sure how to feel about this book, if I'm being completely honest. But then the ending happened. Then the last 100 pages or so happened, and I'm like, and I just, oh my goodness, guys. Like, is it my favorite in the whole series? No. Am I still unsure as to how I feel? Yes. But am I happy about the ending? Yes. Would I still recommend this series? Yes. But like, all in all, I still really, really loved it. And if you haven't read the Ember and the Ashes series, highly, highly recommend that you do, because it's beautiful and wonderful. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for A Sky Beyond the Storm. And the very last book that I managed to complete was a quote for Joey. And his quote was, "Is this friendship? I think so." And it was basically just read a book about friendship. And I read A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. And this is beautiful and so sweet and so precious. It's about sisters and friendship and just, everything good and pure in the world. I have a full review for this on my channel if you want to go and watch it. I'll link it down below as well. And yeah, I don't care what anybody says about middle grade. I really, really don't. Like, keep your opinions to yourself, Karen. I really couldn't care less. Like, this book was wonderful, and I don't care how old you are. I don't care whether or not middle grade's your thing. Read this book. It's beautiful. It's basically about this young girl called Addie, and she is on the autistic spectrum, and she finds out that there was witch trials that took place in her small town where innocent women were condemned to death, and she kind of makes it her mission to get a memorial built for them in their small town. And obviously it's about a lot more than that, but yeah, highly recommend this, and I'll leave my review link down below for you guys if you want to watch that. Okay, so all in all, I did manage to complete 5 challenges for this, which is really good, and my favourites for the month were Girls of Storm and Shadow, obviously, A Kind of Spark, obviously, and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, because those are my 5-star reads of the month. I enjoyed everything that I read, but those 3 were definitely my favorites. And as far as the life challenges were concerned, I mean, the life challenges was just either to watch an episode of Friends or make yourself a cup of coffee or eat some pizza. I drank a lot of coffee, okay? Like, I mean, I mix in chocolate, but still coffee, it still counts. And yeah, I ate some pizza the other night. It was good. But yeah, all in all, January was a pretty decent reading month, and I'm really, really looking forward to February. So yeah. Our book club pick of the month for February is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So if you want to join us in reading that, that would be wonderful. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this wrap up. I hope you had a good reading month. Let me know down below what your favorite books of the month were. Did you take part in the Friends Readathon as well? Let me know. And yeah, my Twitter and my Instagram are down below as always. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell. Do all that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!